Hello, 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 class. And here we are, last study hall for week 4, Mexico. We are getting closer and closer to the end of the game here, which is fantastic and exciting. And also, hey, let's make sure that we've got all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted and our boxes checked off, right? It is the time for the final push. It's time to finish strong. And and I've got a few things that I think are kind of cool and special to share with you right now because um um I'm back home, and I've got a few ingredients that I really wanted to show you all during class on Wednesday, but obviously didn't have them. So let's start off with a few things, and I want to give you some visuals to understand things. We kind of talked about that wild world of chilies, right? Um, so I've just got a few dried chilies. I don't have as many as I normally would like to have on hand to show you, but I've got a few that I think are pretty cool. And I've got a few forms of mole. One that I thought was insane when I first saw it because it was in a powdered form. Now, I've often either you're making mole from scratch, or as I mentioned, you've got that paste, right? That Doña Maria that we see that's basically you rehydrate that. It's like the concentrated version, and then you add stock to that, and that's a fast mole, right? Now, I'll bring up a photo of that, and then I'm going to show you what the a more traditional paste would look like. It's similar but very different. You're going to see the color intensity of it, as well as the powdered mole, which of course I had to purchase when I saw it. I have still yet to use it, but I just thought, wait. Powdered mole, this exists, right? And it was selling being sold at a market in Mexico City when I went there, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I just have to get it. So let me pull up a few visuals again, just to remind you of what that Doña Maria mole looks like in the jar. And I've used this before as a base, but then amplified with bulked up basically because without modifying a bit, kind of like when we talked about utilizing a Thai curry paste but amping it up, like looking at the ingredients. Okay, this one has a lot of shallots and lemongrass and coriander and cumin. I'm going to take those herbs and spices, add that, then add my already prepared paste to make this paste stand out a bit more and the flavor be a bit more impressive and unique as opposed to just a packaged product, right? So taking a convenience product, but elevating it and putting your own touch and adding more fresh ingredients and spices, et cetera, et cetera. So the bulk of it is pre-prepared, but then you're modifying, right? Now is that ideal? No. In a perfect world, we're crushing all of those seeds. In a realistic world, maybe that it's not financially viable to do that because sourcing of the lemongrass and the galangal, et cetera, is really hard. So it's better for me to outsource this product and then amp it up with more affordable products that I can get still a great product with, right? Or maybe it's a time factor or sourcing all the ingredients for a proper mole. So let's start this off. Just again, pulling this up, we see this is how it's sold. And I guess I mentioned this would then be, we've got mole adobo. There's a green version. It usually is sold in this one. And it's a thick, deep paste. I wonder if we can see this, but oftentimes you can see the oil kind of riding on top of this. Not totally, maybe a little bit, but usually there's oil. So, and if we look at the ingredients, it'll have a very similar lineup to what we've seen, except with, a bit more preservatives, et cetera, et cetera. So now on to what I learned. So I live about an hour south of Cancun. And before I had a chance to go to Oaxaca, there was a fair, a Oaxacan fair. And so I knew I could go there and get some mole and some tlayudas, which are like the best, most delicious things in the world. And this was one of the mole that I got. So as you can see, we've got mole rojo, 100% natural. And if we take this out, I'm not going to, I'll show you a little bit about this, but we see that this is a thick paste. And oil is dripping down from it because it's that, it's loaded up with it's cooked down, right? And that is, you smell this, and the smell is just so rich and earthy and intense that, I mean, it is just waiting for a delicious little treat. Now, next up, mole in powder form. Almost looks like like I've got a bag of instant coffee here. And literally, it is finely ground. So basically, you would take that, spread it out, dehydrate it. Voila. Taking all the liquid out, right? It's a dehydrated powder, like a bouillon stock, bouillon cube. Pretty fascinating. Like I said, I have not used it yet. I'm actually gonna have to like look up directions and figure out like, do I just add water? Do I need to add fat? Do I need other chilies? How do I even go about this? I do remember when I spoke with the woman buying it, she's like, yeah, just add a stock. So we'll see, right? It'll be an experiment. You know, how thick, how much water? I don't know, right? Part of the fun of culinary adventures and not knowing is the exploration and making mistakes and be like, wow, that one did not turn out. Oh, this definitely needs more X, Y, and Z. All right. So going on that, I talked about one of my favorite chili peppers called chiltepin. These small, teeny ones. They actually are about the size, almost like if you've ever seen pink peppercorns, which aren't really peppercorns at all, or Szechuan peppercorns. To me, they have let me see if I can get a good view. We lost them, but there we go. It's always so hard to show you guys these things, but these. Yeah, there we go. All right. So, oh, another one's down. So these are just little balls, right? And that they've been dried. And we can see when you crack them open, we've got seeds in there. All right. So these really make a beautiful things. There's a great salsa. If you like heat, check out making a salsa macha, I mean like strong salsa. And it's usually loaded up. I think what I really want to do is make a salsa macha with chiltepin, usually would be made with chile de árbol. And I want to make a salsa macha with these chilies. And I had one salsa macha at a restaurant that no longer exists now, and it was divine. They, instead of just doing kind of the standard ingredients of sesame seeds and maybe, you know, it can vary which chili and which seeds you're putting in there. Let me pull up a visual, and you can also process it to make it a thinner, a thick sauce as opposed to chunky. But this salsa macha retained all of the crispiness. So there was fresh garlic fresh fried garlic, plus chilies, plus pumpkin seeds, peanuts, and almonds, and sesame seeds. So the flavor profile was all over the board because sometimes it might just be peanut and sesame. This one was like, no, we're putting almonds in, we're putting calabacín, we're putting pepitas in. And like I said, I think it probably had a variety of chilies. It wasn't just one, maybe it was multiple. Let me give you a visual of what salsa macha looks like. And it's kind of been a trending thing, like kind of like how the chili crisp or whatever, you know, basically chili oil, fried chili, which is like the base of so many delicious dishes, and additions to dishes, whether it's soups in Asia, dumplings. Oh my gosh, am I hungry again? I think so. I'm already now thinking, what am I going to go eat? What am I going to make? Am I going to go cook? I'm so hungry. I think I need to go get something. So let's see what we've got here. Let's check out El Pollito Campesino. Why not? Obviously, you can buy this pre-prepared and made. Ooh, wow. Okay, this one is looking like I might have to take a look at that. Because that one has sunflower seeds added. Again, great. Didn't even think about that, you know? So you think about, wow, you could really make some killer combinations of different seeds. You could make one that's nut friendly. You could make one that's allergy friendly, right? And thinking about that when you're creating menus and oh, okay, well, if I do these seeds, it will be an allergy friendly. So I would eliminate, you know, the sesame seeds because some sesame seeds are on the list. Same along with peanuts, right? So maybe I'm making an allergy friendly salsa macha. I'm going to eliminate those, but I am going to put sunflower, and it's going to be nut, and you know, all nuts are out too. Who knows, whatever it is, but these are things that you want to think about, right? So as you can see, this is not a light salsa, okay, by any means. And within the salsa world, you know, understanding that as well, like which salsas go with what. Now, at the end of the day, Man, I would just have some rice and some beans and throwing that on. Ooh, maybe I'd have some eggs with that. Oh, now I'm thinking, what about a really awesome cheese? Man, the hunger is one of the greatest inspirations for experimentation and recipe creation too, right? So just, if you're ever thinking about that, like, oh, well, yeah, oh, that could be interesting, right? So let's just see what this one's got. I think this seems a little bit strange. Maybe did I pull up I don't know. This is I wasn't able to get that. I guess you can only order it. All right. Well, let's check out this one. Here's another one. I thought one of these has to be, I guess. Yeah, this is not a recipe. I was thinking that this was a blog, but they're selling their products, which does look just absolutely divine. It actually looks like they're utilizing millet. This, to me, very much looks like either millet or amaranth. And because of the size, I'm guessing my best estimated guess is that it's going to be, um, I mean, now I'm getting all these other ideas. Puffed amaranth. So puffed amaranth is really quite used. Let's see if we can get an no, I was hoping for an ingredient list. Not there. I'm going to have to do some deeper research, but you get the idea. We've got, all these kind of delicious here. Well, this is easy cooking recipe website. Let's see what they've got. And um, all right, this is a recipe for this from out of Veracruz. And so we see, right, there's a slight difference. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, actually, I don't think that is those other smaller seeds that I thought were perhaps millet or amaranth. I'm seeing them here. Those are the seeds of a chili. Okay. So, and whenever you're looking at stuff like this, you have to do a ton of research, right? And look at about 30 different recipes, compare, contrast, break it down, find common themes. And then, that's how I usually do a recipe that I've never made or I don't know how. Basically one of my best experience was trying to recreate this dish, this sauce, a specific dish that it's called turnip XO cake, and XO sauce is made out of was a sauce out of Hong Kong, that's just full of umami. Kind of doesn't have, it's not the same as the salsa macha, but it's oil based. It also has dried scallops traditionally, dried pork products, and then chilies and garlic and ginger. But it's an incredible umami bomb, right? And I was like, what is this XO sauce? And then I had to find out the research. When was it created? It was created in Hong Kong, and I think during the 80s, but it could be maybe during the 70s. I need to refresh my memory. And then looking at all different variations. Okay, some people use dried shrimp. Some people use dried scallops. Dried scallops are really expensive. Dried shrimp are not. Okay, we switch that out, right? Which dried fish are you using? What are you putting a dried pork product in there? Or are we going to eliminate that? How much ginger? How much garlic? How much your ratios, right? And everybody we know recipes vary, right? There's constant variation within recipes, different households, different zones within a region, and finding that. So it's kind of interesting. And that's how I've always done my best research of trying to figure out how do I create something that seems that it will be honoring the traditional flavor profiles and the method, but you can't just stop at looking at one website. You've got to look at multiple to do proper research. Otherwise, oh yeah, this is how this is made. Well, yeah, that's one way. It doesn't give you the best approach of understanding how the dish or the salsa is actually made. All right. And again, remember what we talked, every household is going to have a little bit of a different recipe. This one, I'm not finding, this one is literally saying it's just olive oil, chile serrano, dried and without stems and the outside and salt. Now let's take a look at this salsa macha. Interesting. Ooh, okay. This one is going a little bit different. This is actually adding, so peanuts are cacahuates and arándanos are cranberries, so dried cranberries. Now, again, another level. What? Dried cranberries in this? Think about that. Chili, peanut. We already see a lot of peanut and cranberry combination. We also know salty, savory, sweet. Hello. Wow. What are we doing? I'm thinking about what that would really pair up with. I actually am thinking like a duck would be gorgeous in that sense. So if I, as a French trained chef, right? My natural go-to and is not necessarily thinking what plant-based protein is going with that. I'm thinking what in general is going to go with it. Is it going to be beans? Is it fish? Is it duck? Is it wild pork? Wild boar? But then thinking, okay, if I would, I'm my gut is saying, yeah, I think the sweetness and the tartness from from dried cranberries, thinking about duck and cherry, peanut, all of this kind of the flavor profile working. Okay, well, now what would be a cool and good replacement for a plant-based version? Maybe like something like a seitan or a tempeh that has some body and real, girth and strength and chew to hold up on this, right? As opposed to, silken tofu, although maybe that would work. Okay. So think about this. We've got chile de árbol, chile morita, cup of toasted peanuts, 2 spoonfuls of sesame seeds, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 spoonful of salt, a spoonful of dark brown sugar, a little bit of vinegar, and the dried cranberry. So obviously this is yet another version, right? We just saw one, we just hopped from one that was literally just, and the most basic is oil and chili, right? And then oil, chili, and seeds. And that's basic. And then you can start getting into these other layers and flavors, right? And this is like the whole magic of understanding, right? Now, another thing that I want to tell you about, you'll see, hey, frying this. Well, guess what? Also with mole, you either toast or you fry, okay? The best comment I think that I've ever read about a Mexican chef learning about not having a depth, a real full, deep understanding of making moles, and going home and learning from his grandma, and said, I never knew that there were so many different ways of how to char, torch, scald, burn, and fry things, and how important, how intensely you fry, right? So let's say we're just frying a regular piece of tortilla, right, in oil. Say you're frying anything in oil. We know temperature has a huge importance. And as we let it stay, right? Okay, it's soft. If we put a piece of tortilla in oil to deep fry to make a chip, if we put it in, right, and take it out almost immediately, it's not gonna have any color. It's gonna be saturated with oil, right? It hasn't gotten that. Now we see the color changing, getting nice and golden. Well, we've hit that optimal spot to take out. And if we have ever over fried something and now it's staying in a little bit longer, oh, we're starting to pick up different notes. It's starting to get a little bit bitter. It's starting to go darker. But there's also a stage way before burnt and perfectly golden brown that also adds massive depth of flavor. Now, this is again a very advanced skill, or that you either need to learn and observe and understanding, even like with toasting nuts or toasting chilies or toasting anything. There's your optimal point, and then there's burn, but there's leading up to that might be achieving something that you want instead of on the underside, right? Or even at that perfect amount. Well, no, we want a little bit over fried, or I want to torch my chilies a little bit, right? To get a little bit of that smokiness coming out of there. Not a ton. I don't want it blackened to smithereens, but I do want to give it some extra char, bringing in depth of flavor. Again, these are advanced steps. It's not just, hey, I understand what raw is. I understand what perfectly golden brown. I understand what burnt is, right? There's gradations of this. And this, I think, is also part of this takes years of studying or learning from others, right? I've learned so much from others, all my knowledge, right? Sure, there's self-learning where you're reading books and learning and failing on your own and messing up recipes, but learning from others, right? Learning from others who've learned from others. It is a constant exchange of information and knowledge that in this world we should be, especially in my opinion, the restaurant and hospitality world should be sharing. I get that some chefs don't like to share their recipes. I think that's kind of ridiculous. Unless you've got like a patent and you're making, a sauce, I understand that then. But otherwise, like, come on, you learned that technique from somewhere else. We share the wealth, right? To each one's own, right? And I know people are very, can be very secretive with their recipes. For me, that's not my style, right? Like because I'm also might be going to tell you, here's my list of ingredients. Here's the method I did. Because guess what? The next time I make that, I might tweak something. It might be better. It might be worse. Maybe I can't source the same chili. Maybe the chili isn't from the same land that I got it the first time. So therefore it tastes different. Maybe I'm using Virginia peanuts versus Mexican peanuts versus Indian peanuts. All of those sourcing, because guess what? Like we've been like you should have learned in 120, right? The land is giving flavor to those vegetables. Right? So all of these have an impact on those final dishes. All right. Last cool thing that I want to share with you. And then we'll wrap this up. Cacao. One of the greatest gifts out there. Let me pull up a visual. So if you start looking and understanding chocolate, chocolate is what we know as chocolate is completely different. Chocolate itself starts off looking like this. Hold on. There is fermentation that takes place. There is drying. It's so much more. And then we haven't even gotten into the fact of, what we really are thinking about, which is, again, like I said, the chocolate that we think about today. I'm going to pull up a visual so you can understand. I know you've got a photo of this in the class page, but this is going to bring it a little bit closer to life. Okay. Like, what does it look like? How does it get from this wild raw fruit to the chocolate that we know and love today? And what does that even look like? And we think about the percentage of your cacao percentage. Is it milk chocolate? Is it white chocolate? We remember when pink chocolate came out. Chocolate and vanilla are the worldwide the most favorite flavors. There's nothing that the world can do. Unanimously, those are the two most preferred, well-known and favorite flavors. However, the vanilla and the chocolate that we all know and love is very much modified, okay, as compared to what the real deal looks like. All right. This is cacao. This is chocolate. Okay. This is it growing on a tree. It is a fruit, right? With beautiful seeds inside. Those seeds, this is still at that raw stage. When we look at thinking about this process, okay, bean to bar, right? How is it made? Okay. Now this is really cool because when we think about certain places, right? We've got that cacao, those leaves. Okay. How is it made? Here we go. We start harvesting, then we ferment. It is a fermented product. Okay. Then you dry, then you roast, then you crack and winnow, grind, conching, which I need to do some more experimentation. I think that's when we are separating, tempering, molding, and wrapping, right? Those last things are where we're really incorporating sugars and different products. But look at that. This is where we first got that harvest. Okay. Now fermentation starts. Okay. Drying then is coming up next. Slow roasting, drying, toasting, so drying and then roasting. So see this? These ones that I have here, which I want to show you. Stop sharing. That's what the inside looks like. Maybe you've perhaps purchased cocoa nibs before, right? I'm going to crack one open. These have passed through the drying and roasting stage so they can be sold. They're dry, right? Kind of looks like an almond, doesn't it? Now, these have not been roasted. If I were to roast and toast this afterwards, the peel is going to be the skin is going to become a lot easier for me to remove. Right now, I can't really get that off. I can't. If I toast it, that shell, the skin is going to dry up and we're going to get deeper flavor. Fat's starting to release. This one is so fresh that I can't even break this one. So, there we go. We're getting some action here. So if we look at this, maybe again, you've probably purchased cocoa nibs. And this is kind of where we would get at. I'm going to just start to show you this. We got some of the peel coming off. Can you see this? All right, peel's coming off. Oopsies, we lost a little bit. You can see it's really pretty stuck to this, okay? So toasting is going to help remove that. But cocoa nibs, I won't lose these like I lost the chilies, I hope. So you can start to see this. All right. Those are essentially little cocoa nibs. All right. Then we continue with that processing, right? Toasting. Woo, it is bitter. It's actually full of protein, caffeine. Remember, chocolate has caffeine. These things are powerful. One time I ate a few of those and I had no idea how powerful and strong they were to me. And I was like, where did all this energy come from? Cacao seeds. Totally out of this world. Again, there's, tasting something like this for the first time, comparing it to chocolate is like, you start to understand, okay. Like, how does this get transformed? And you think about the whole process, right? It was a raw seed once. Okay. And then linking Mexican culture, also the history of cacao and chocolate, and making these beverages, chocolate beverages that were basically meals and super full of energy. It's unreal, the power. And if you look at the nutritional components and breakdown of this, you'll be blown away how impressive the cacao is. All right. And again, we can then take these next steps, and then we think about adding cocoa butter, processing, incorporating sugar, incorporating milk, right? Because if this would not be the chocolate that you're gulping down and thinking of opening that package of Swiss Miss, right? So class, I hope you enjoyed. I just want to give you a little bit of journey since I'm back home in Mexico. And that is our week, to share a little bit of some of the, I forgot to share. I've got one other pepper. I'll just open this up, but these I got when I was down in Oaxaca. Over summer break, I was lucky enough to take a little trip. Finally, I didn't get to Oaxaca City, but I got to a small beach town, and I was able to eat some really tasty food and have mole, of course. Get this open so we can see, look at the size of this one, right? Kind of almost looks like it's about 2.5 inches long, 2 inches. Oh, you can't even see it. There we go. But even within the same batch, right? Looking at the different size, this is the same chili harvested at different times. This looks like this is definitely not the same chili, but it was all purchased together, but almost looks like more like chile de árbol for me. But could it have gotten mixed in? Possibly. All right. So again, seeing these different variations. Remember, that plant is going to grow, and you're going to have smaller ones, larger ones, different colored ones, different strengths, different flavor profiles. Maybe I'll just have to whip up a salsa matcha. I think I'll do that next week. I'll keep you posted. Class, hope you have a wonderful Monday. Let's knock this out. Let's finish strong. I'll be sending out messages to anybody that needs to get missing work in. You need to contact me prior. Remember, week 5 is the end. There's no exceptions after that. It's next Tuesday. So essentially, you've got 1 week to get any missing work in. That's a discussion forum. That's a quiz. That's a cooking assignment. After that, after next Tuesday, 11:59, it's closed. Okay. We have to be focusing on week 5 and then immediately into week 6, which is due then on that Sunday. And then we're wrapping up class. And you guys are onwards, moving. All right. Have a wonderful week. I'll catch y'all on Wednesday. Take care and be well.